Now, this illustration deals with other metal piping. In accordance with NEC 250.104B as in boy. Now, many times, the authority having jurisdiction, along with electricians, feel like that any type of piping system has to be bonded in accordance with 250.66. Now, this particular section is pointing out that the equipment ground that's routed with the ungrounded conductors that may energize a piping system can be bonded and grounded with the equipment ground routed with such circuits. For example, let's review the range at the very bottom. Then notice the equipment ground that is routed over to the cord and plug connected receptacle, that is cord and plug connected to the range. The equipment ground that's in the cord connected to ground through the equipment ground routed back to the service equipment. If you have an appropriate connection to the water piping system that you see there above grade, if it happens to be listed by 110.3 B and C as a bonding means, then we have bonded according to 250.104B, and it's over with. We do not have to run a bonding jumper all the way back to the service equipment in accordance with 250.66. We're using the regulations in 250.104B. Now let's take a look at the piping above the system that's feeding the motor. And the motor is in line with a piping system that's providing a flow of liquid or whatever. And notice, again, the metal conduit or the equipment ground inside the conduit can be used to ground the motor and the piping system. We do not have to run a separate ground according to 250.66. And then notice, say you had an instrument, and that instrument had an equipment ground bonding the metal casing of the instrument that was nippled into the equipment to monitor flow, pressure, whatever. Then notice the equipment ground that's routed to the metering system, if that's the case, could be used to bond it in, and that's what this figure 16-105 is illustrating. We can use the equipment ground that is routed with the phase conductors to bond and ground equipment as well as metal piping in accordance with 250.104B. Now, in closing out this illustration, I'll give you another example. Say that you're running a feeder up to a disconnect that feeds an air handler. The equipment ground that is routed in that conduit up to the disconnect that connects power over to the air handler could be used to ground the air handler and the metal piping gas system. And that's what this figure 16-105 is simply illustrating with the requirements of 250.104B as in boy.